I'm Allison, and this is my dog. And we live in a tiny house, in an even tinier trailer, traveling the country, taking hikes. And today, we're taking a totally improvised morning stroll around Bryce Canyon, where even the wildfire smoke couldn't keep us from a good time, even if it was a bit rough on the lungs. She is steep. Good morning. As you can see, you can't see because it's 5:30 in the morning. And for my Seattle friends, that is 4:30 in the morning, your time. We came to Bryce Canyon this morning to take a little hike, a big hike. We're gonna have some breakfast first. I left in a bit of a hurry. We're about an hour from sunrise. It is pitch dark right now, absolutely pitch dark, which is great, but not so great because we're hiking the rim of a canyon. Normally, I wouldn't mind starting in the dark. Usually there's nothing to see at the beginning of a hike, but the canyon is right there. So we're gonna wait until it gets light and there's nobody else here. I'm not worried about a crowd. I came here yesterday during peak hours and there are still plenty of parking spaces everywhere I went in the canyon. So we're gonna have some breakfast and wait for just a little bit of light, and then we'll get started. So I just went outside to go to the bathroom, and we're starting to get a tiny bit of light. Speaking of light, that just turned off. And I smelled smoke, and I think we're full of wildfire smoke today. Yep, we're full of smoke this morning. The smoke has followed me basically all the way across the West. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, now Utah. I started this hike at the north end of the park with easy access to the rim trail at the Fairyland Canyon parking lot. I downloaded a few trail maps that covered the full rim of the canyon and several hike options through the valley. Wave to the trail camera. It wasn't really necessary to start this hike in the dark to avoid the crowds, but I'm glad I started early enough to watch the sunrise and to give myself the freedom to choose whatever route called to me without worrying about being caught in the August heat, which was still climbing into the low 90s some days. After a couple miles hiking south along the rim of the canyon, I ended up descending into the canyon at Sunrise Point and hopped on the Navajo Loop and Queen's Garden trails. We're gonna take a little 2-mile detour. I saw something on the map I wanna go see. Also, look at this sun. There it is, look at that thing. It's very smoky out today. Queen's Garden earns every bit of its regal name with its towering formations, and there's something interesting to see almost every step of the way, including natural and man-made arches. The Navajo Loop and Queen's Garden trails are probably the most scenic and popular trails in the park. But there weren't any crowds except near trail intersections and scenic lookouts along the rim trail. The trail is well maintained and mostly rock-free, but steep. And as they say, going into the canyon is optional, but climbing back out is mandatory. Now, if I would have taken a few more minutes to look at this loop more closely on the map, I would have seen that I was starting the trail with a pretty gradual descent, but my route out of the canyon would be about twice as steep. I realized this mistake when I realized more people were hiking counter to the direction I was headed, But by then, I was already at the bottom of these switchbacks. It would have been much easier to hike down these and up the way I came down. For this reason, I would have to recommend you start this hike at sunset point, not sunrise point. She is steep. These switchbacks are excellent. I could have made this a really long day, almost tripling my mileage, had I stayed in the canyon longer and cut over to, say, the cathedral and maybe across the alligator, then back out of the canyon at the other end, the way other end. But the smoke was thick enough that I was starting to not feel so good, and the canyon during monsoon season is the last place I want to be stuck feeling crappy. Some random person just showed up. I don't like it. I don't like it. People creep me out. We're gonna stay in here for a minute longer. I was getting ready to go too. It doesn't appear to be a park ranger or anything, so that's freaking me out. I'm not used to running into people on the trail or in the parking lot. What is he doing? You seeing this? Turns out that weirdo in a truck was just a couple of nice ladies.